In this episode of Inspire and Be Inspired, I'm interviewing Julianne Ponan. Julianne is the owner of Creative Nature, which provide a range of allergen-free products. As someone who has suffered with anaphylaxis, Creative Nature's products are designed exactly for people like Julianne. She found that there wasn't enough choice or option in the market and decided to make her brand about helping those who suffer with allergies. I'm really excited to hear more about Julianne's story and her entrepreneurial journey so far. So welcome back to another episode of Inspire and Be Inspired. I am here with Julianne Ponan. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. Owner of Creative Nature, entrepreneur. There's so many titles we can give you. Forbes 30, under 30, so many accolades. Welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be on the show.
Thanks for being here. So the first question I wanted to ask you is tell us about your business.
The business, it's a free from business. So it started because I suffer from anaphylaxis, and everything Creative Nature does is top 14 allergen free. So it doesn't matter whether you're gluten free, dairy free, or you have a severe nut allergy, you can still eat our products, and that's what makes us really unique.
And personally, I haven't seen, I haven't been looking for them either, but I haven't seen any competitors out there, or many competitors of your size. Are there many? I mean, you seem to be taking the world by storm at the moment.
We're definitely making waves.
Yeah.
There are a certain amount of people in our space. I mean, the free from industry as a whole is growing rapidly. I think it's over 900 million just in the UK now. And only a few years ago, it was 400 million. So that has been fantastic. In terms of people doing similar things to us, we are sort of the first top 14 allergen-free baking mix. We've got our brand new Norbles, which launched a week before we went into the first lockdown in pandemic. And they're like a vegan, I guess, Malteser, but they're completely, so they've got 39% lower sugar. So they're better for you. And also they taste, well, I'm obviously going to say they taste delicious.
So this channel is all about inspiring others to either start a business or a side hustle, or just inspire people in general. And I want to take it back to the start of your journey. Before you acquired Creative Nature, what were you doing?
Well, it's a while ago now. I went to university. I completed a degree, and straight after that, I went over and worked in Beijing in finance, investment banking, which was really interesting, really fast-paced, really exciting as well. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed my time out there. However, I've always wanted to, make a difference in a way, or do something that was beyond just working, like for example, just making money. It'd be great to change someone's life, and having allergies, you realize that you can't do certain things, and I don't want an allergy to ever limit anyone, and that's what I advocate. So it's fantastic to be able to build a brand that caters and genuinely helps people, so that I get letters, for example, saying thank goodness, like for your brand, my child's been able to eat cake for the first time, and things like that. It's priceless.
That must be so heartwarming to receive messages like that, knowing that you're having a direct positive impact on someone else's life.
Definitely.
Yeah, really nice. So when you were in investment banking, you said you were enjoying it, you loved it, but you wanted to do something, a bit more impactful. What was the deciding factor? How did you get from work to Creative Nature? What were the decisions you made to get there?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure the exact reasons. I think I'm still a very true believer of everything happens for a reason. But you've got to take those opportunities when they come about. Opportunity doesn't always come knocking twice. So if you do get an opportunity like I did, and it was only because I was actually employed to look at the finances of Creative Nature, it was very different. And then it came up as an opportunity to be able to do a management buyout. The company itself was in over £56,000 losses. It was doing completely different things like candles, incense, statues, not the things that we do now, for example, as a free-from brand. So people probably would have said, oh, well, that's insane, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you do a management buyout? And why would you take on those losses? And for me, it's more about seeing the opportunity to grow something. And yes, maybe hindsight, it could have been easier to start from scratch, but I've learned so many things along the way. And that's the thing with entrepreneurs. You learn as you go. You jump off that cliff and you build the plane on the way down. And every mistake that you make, you rectify it and you learn from it. And that is so, so important. A lot of people say fail fast. I don't know if it's about failing fast. It's just about learning consistently every single day. Learning from people in your team, because you employ your team because they're better than you at those specific roles. So you've just got to take everything you can and get as much knowledge as possible.
Now that's so inspiring to hear, because, you know, as someone on my own business journey, you know, you never stop learning on your business journey, and you often learn from your failures, you often learn from your mistakes, but you can also learn from your successes. And it sounds like you've had a lot of learning over the last few years when it comes to building your brand. Now, I understand that it hasn't been easy, like any business. You've had your challenges. What are some of the barriers that you faced throughout your journey? Because I understand you were quite young when you acquired the business. Tell us a bit more about some of the barriers you faced. Challenges.
Yes, there were numerous ones along the way, so I'll pick a couple out. Yes, I was really, really young, and I looked really, really young when I first started. I got sort of told I couldn't be the CEO. There's no way I'd be the founder. I did a crowdfunding campaign not long into having the brand, and completely failed publicly. So launched on site, didn't raise the money, was called a little girl publicly on the forum. Was told I would never launch into a supermarket with two people. It was tough. It was hard to.
How did you feel at that time? I mean, when you hear words like those, it would be so easy to quit, to give up, and just, you know, listen to that and let that impact you. But how did you feel at the time? Because obviously you're still here today, you're still going strong. How were you mentally?
Well, learning from other entrepreneurs is fantastic, and no one tells you how lonely it can be as an entrepreneur. So surrounding yourself with other people really does help. But what I found, I don't know if you probably definitely know Richard Reed, the founder of Innocent Drinks. One of the founders. He said that having a purpose is so important, especially on those bad days. And it is so, so true. It's your business, if it started through a frustration or a problem you're trying to solve, that's what you need to come back to on those bad days of how far have you got? What are you doing to get to the next level? And my partner, who's our operations director, he always says, like, think about why you started it in the first place. And that's sort of what got me through. And it was about understanding what can we do to get to the next level. And we put a plan together. It was still just the two of us at that time when we failed that crowdfunding round. We put a plan together to try and launch into a supermarket. And we did it, which was fantastic. And those same investors actually came back and wanted to buy the company, which was really interesting. Obviously we declined that, and went on to Dragon's Den after that, and further down the line we did another crowdfunding campaign and hit our target in 14 days. So it was very different.
That is really nice to hear. And I think one of the key points to take away from that is your purpose and your why and your reason for being in business in the first place, because we all have difficult times, we all have struggles throughout business, and it would be so easy to give up if we didn't have a purpose, we didn't have a passion, or we didn't have a why. If your motivation was, say, just financial, in those difficult times, it's much easier to quit. But when you have a purpose, when you have a passion, you have a why, that helped you get through those difficult times, and you've come out the other end, smiling.
Yeah, and you never know what's just behind that corner. Like they say about it's the tip of the iceberg, and you just don't know all of the hard work that's gone on behind the scenes. So don't think that if one door closes, another won't open.
Yeah, definitely. So you faced some barriers, some difficulties. I mean, what advice would you give to anyone else who may be facing some difficulties based on how people perceive them or based on how they look? What kind of advice would you give to someone else?
I'd say perseverance is key. You're going to have naysayers, you're going to have people that are negative. It's not about just proving it to them, it's proving it to yourself. And it's all about you as an entrepreneur, not them. At the end of the day, they can say what they like, but they're not going to change what you can personally do. And that's what I say about competition as well, because I used to fall into this hole of looking at competitors or looking at people coming up in the industry going, oh, look what they're doing. And oh my gosh, she's done that and he's done that. And comparing myself consistently against their journey. But how do I know how long they've been going, whether they're just starting out on day one or whether they're already a pro at it and been doing it for 15, 20 years? So I think it's really important that you work on you, because whatever your competitor does, they can't change what you're doing at this point in time, only you can. And then I'd also say it really is about surrounding yourself with the right people, listening to things like this, like your podcast, like Virgin Startup. They have a fantastic network. Goldman Sachs, I went on the 10,000 Small Business Program, and I recommend that to anybody who's in business. If you can get on that program, it really will change your life, because you're put in a group, a cohort of 40 people, 40 entrepreneurs. Imagine that's like a whole board that you would never be able to afford if you were employing them. Yeah. And their businesses from sort of, 500,000 turnover to 20, 25 million. And they're all put in the same room and you're all learning together. But it was interesting to see that you still have the same problems, but it's just on a much larger scale. So definitely recommend, if anyone wants to go on that course, look it up.
Yeah, I think there's a few things to take from that. And the first thing I wanted to take is absolutely, it's you versus you. I mean, we can often get caught up in comparing ourselves with other businesses and other people. And of course, it's good to know our competition. It's good to see what our competition are doing. But at the end of the day, it's you versus you. And you need to focus on your journey to get where you want to be, and try not to compare too much to the others around you. And with the Virgin Startups, a fantastic scheme for small businesses or young businesses. The Prince's Trust is another organization, one that I personally have benefited from. So I'm always preaching them. But if you can get help from anywhere out there, I think it's do it because it helps, as you mentioned about the Virgin Startups.
Just ask for help as well. That's the other thing. A lot of people are scared to ask, and I get people randomly come up to me and say, oh, how did you do that? Or who did you contact? And if we can, I guarantee you an entrepreneur has been through that journey. So when it's time for you to pass that knowledge on, you naturally try and help someone as much as possible. And same way, I will still ask questions till today from other entrepreneurs. Oh, was that show any good? Or do you think that's worth it by investing that money in that marketing campaign? It's so important. Don't feel scared and don't feel any question is too silly.
Yeah, 100%. I often find speaking to, a lot of entrepreneurs, people are generally willing to help, especially people that have been in that position, been in that situation, and have knowledge to offer. You know, yeah, I'm sure along your journey you've had people who have helped you, likewise with myself. So it's really nice to give to people who are, you know, maybe at the beginning of their journey, or help them, you know, with things that they need help with.
Definitely.
And I think that just goes to show the fact that you're on this podcast shows another way of you helping other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be on, and I think it's such a good thing because podcasts are so easy to listen to as well.
Yeah.
When you're on the train, anywhere you're commuting, it's super easy, and it makes it so accessible. So I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Fantastic. Right, what inspires Julianne? What inspires you? As I mentioned, the name of this show is called Inspire and Be Inspired, but what inspires you?
I guess I would say, well, one of the things was having people genuinely just message me on a daily basis saying, your product has changed my life, or it's a feeling that you just can't replicate. It's very authentic. And then also seeing your product, it'll never get old, seeing your product in store and seeing someone pick it up. It just gives you that feeling of, wow, I created that with my team to get it there. And then I would say genuine everyday people. There are some amazing people in my team. My team inspire me every single day from different things, different ideas they come up with. Trudy, one of our she's our head of sales, and she'll say the most random things, and it's just ideas that I would have never have thought of, but she'll just say it, and no idea is too silly. And I think that's where you can really find inspiration from others. And it's important to surround yourself with positive people, because otherwise you'll be brought down if you don't surround yourself with people like that.
No, 100%. I completely agree with that. Another question I had on the product. So you developed your products, and the first time you saw it in a store, what was that like? What was that experience for you? And what store was it? The first time you saw it on the shelves?
If I'm honest, I can't remember the first store, but I do remember the first launch into Tesco. I still have that receipt because obviously I bought the product. But I think I always remember that because of the launch that we had, and it was so difficult. It was our last bit of marketing spend, and it's when we hadn't launched into supermarket yet. We went out there, we spent on a show, we met a buyer. We didn't know we met the right buyer at the time as well. I just told the team to pitch every single person like they were a really important buyer. After the show, the Tesco buyer gave us a call and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." She said, "Oh, I absolutely loved your product. I'd love to launch you, but I'd love to launch you in 3 weeks' time." At that point, I was jumping for joy, thinking, yes, this is incredible. She obviously thought we were a lot bigger than we were, because that's how we'd come across at the show. I obviously said yes straight away, because she said, "Can you commit to launching?" Yes, fill out the new line forms, all of this. I ran downstairs to Matt in our tiny little warehouse. We only had a 4-person office at that point. And he said, "There's no way we'll be able to launch. It's impossible to be able to get the packaging and everything in on time, and I'd potentially have to call her back and say no." But we didn't. I didn't call her back. There was no way I was going to be calling her back.
No way at all.
So we worked out a plan, and we roped in every single, like all our family, brothers, sisters, brothers' girlfriends, sisters' boyfriends, everything. But my parents were split up, so they actually came together and helped us practice this product. So we did that all, and we did it sort of till 3 a.m. each day, and worked out we could do it. And it did take a lot, but the trucks came in on the day, 3 weeks down the line. We made it. It was fantastic, but we didn't have a forklift.
Oh,
didn't think about it. Just didn't. That's why I always think about infrastructure when you are launching. It's so important to have that foundation, but didn't think about it. And then it was like, how are we going to launch? Called the buyer. She's obviously in her absolute, she had every right. She said we committed and we would be fined per store, per product. Like, it would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Of course, as an entrepreneur, you find a solution. We ran down the middle of the road. We found a tile company, and they said we could borrow their forklift.
Wow.
But they couldn't drive it on the road because it was illegal. So we'd have to try and get these 800 kilogram pallets down to them.
Okay.
And it was a nightmare. Matt pulled them all. He had to pull 10 800 kilograms by hand. The road shut down. The police were called. It was...
Oh my gosh.
It was a nightmare. But we managed to launch. 3 days later, I ran to store, bought the product. And yeah, that's why I'll always remember it.
I love that story because there's so many parts to it that are just incredible. And I think that just goes to show the essence of being an entrepreneur, because, you know, you could have easily just said, oh, we can't do it. You could have called her back and said, oh, we're not going to be able to get the products in time. You know, your team have said, no, this is not happening. And in true entrepreneurial fashion, you said, this is happening. We cannot miss out on this opportunity. We are going to make this happen somehow. And you absolutely did. And then you faced another barrier in terms of the forklift. Again, you could have laid down, cried, and not carried on. And you
I was nearly crying.
Yeah, well, I'm probably sure there was lots of tears, but you still carried on. And I think that is just the essence of being an entrepreneur and being in business, is that you just make things happen. You get it done regardless. And that is just a lovely story to hear. And now I'm sure you learnt so much from that journey.
Yes, it was so many things to put in place, and how to put systems in place, processes in place, and so that things actually run smoothly. We use something called the business model canvas. I don't know if you know it. By
I haven't
Alex.
come across that, no.
It's by Alex Osterwalder. Definitely have a look at it. It's where you sort of plan you don't do a business plan, because business plans, 40 pages, it just goes in the drawer. Nobody looks at it. There's no point in having that. This sort of business model canvas, it allows you to pivot really quickly, so you understand your value proposition, your key channels, your cost revenue, your key partners that you want to work with, and you do this as a team, and you're able to see very, very quickly who in your team understands, especially your board level, understands where your vision and your mission is and where you'd like to go, and you can see if you're aligned or not.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. That is fabulous. Now, before we end, is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, do you want to tell us all the stores that we can buy your products in, or where we can buy them online?
Yes, definitely. So you can pick up our products at creativenaturesuperfoods.co.uk, and then we're also stocked in Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's has our banana bread. We've just launched in Co-op in the meal deal for our Norbles, so definitely pick them up from there. And we've got something really exciting news coming soon. I can't say what it is yet, but do watch out for it.
Definitely, I will definitely look out for it. Right, thanks for coming on the show. Now, the last thing we do on this show before we end is we tell everyone to support the TING. We want everyone to support the channel, support each other, keep growing the network. So if you could just tell the viewers to support the TING.
Okay, support the TING. That's how you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous. All right, thanks a lot, Julianne.